All right, we live, y'all.
Hi guys.
No one's in here. Oh, hold on.
Oh,
We got one. Oh, it's in. Okay.
Hi fam.
Hey, everyone.
Hi. Oh,
All right.
I hope you guys are safe during this pandemic. I know it ain't much for us to do right now.
Yeah.
Hope you guys are safe. Keep your masks on, wash your hands, use hand sanitizer, all of that good stuff.
But thank y'all for tuning into our first on the spot live interview with CBG. We have our guests on live right now. We're about to invite them on so we can go ahead and get this started.
Let's get this started.
There we go. Make sure y'all see the both of us.
Both of them. Guys, make sure you follow our personal.
Hi.
Hey guys.
We're trying to get it right.
You're still trying to get situated?
Yeah, take your time. Hey guys, take your time.
Okay. Hi.
Hey.
How are y'all doing tonight?
Doing well.
Good.
How are you? You gotta come over some more. Your head like halfway cut off. Okay. Let me move it a little. Okay, we'll move it a little. Sorry. I feel like what's his name? Teddy Riley.
Alrighty, ladies. I hope you guys are staying safe during this pandemic time.
Absolutely. We are trying our best.
Yeah, definitely understand. But, okay, let's see. So, hello, everyone. Welcome to our first On the Spot live interview with CBG. I'm Shay.
I'm Just Nomi.
And we are Certified Band Geeks. And today we have our guests. Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Okay, I'm Cece, and I'm Lady Luna, and we're blowing hot air.
So, I love the name, by the way. Like, I like how y'all did that. It's woodwind players. I got you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I actually have a question about that later on. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. So we already have your names and everything. So just go ahead and tell us about yourselves, like your school, who you marched for, etc.
Alrighty, so I'll start off. First off, my name is Sierra, but people call me Cece, and I am a graduate of the great Bethune-Cookman University, HBCU. I am a marching wildcat, or marched for 3 years in a band. I played clarinet, and I also majored in music technology, so music major as well. And yeah, that's a little bit about my marching journey. Well, I started off in middle school, then I moved on to high school, right in South Florida, and then ventured off into collegiate studies, and then I went back after undergrad to start a few businesses here and there, a few ventures. And then I eventually moved on to public schooling, and then now I'm in the private sector, and it's great.
That's what's up. How about you?
And so I'm Taryn, or Lady Luna. That's kind of been my tag for a while. I started playing in middle school. I marched 3 1/4 of my high school year. My high school years, I played at Florida Memorial University. We didn't have a full marching band. We had a pep band. So we didn't have a football team then. So we just did basketball season. And I played flute and piccolo there. percussion sometimes.
Nice.
It was one of those, whatever was needed, we figured it out.
Yes, we've all been.
Don't let her downplay it. She did everything. When I say everything, everything.
I know that's true.
Experience. And we both actually have the pleasure of, helping start the band program out there now. So that is an absolute dream come true for me to see a fully recognized marching band at my HBCU. I started out with music education. I had a couple of turns in the road, so I didn't finish in music education. I'm finishing my degree in small business and entrepreneurship.
Okay.
Awesome.
That's what's up. That's what's up, ladies.
So can you tell us, how did the both of you meet?
Oh, marching band. So marching band. Marching band is how we met. We met up in high school. I was actually, the incoming freshman. She was a senior. And yeah. I was the can't get right. And she was the helper. So you know what that's like. Former can't get right, helping the new can't get right.
It's funny because that's how me and her became friends in high school. I was the can't get right.
And we all know who the can't get right is, especially if the band is concerned. It happens.
It happens. So what made y'all interested in music and joining the band program?
That's a very question. My journey has taken quite a bit of turns. I actually, let's see. I would say it started from elementary school, if I'm being very honest. I was very, very privileged to have had a music program in elementary school. I know everyone doesn't have that. And I was in the chorus program, and we sang all over Miami-Dade County area. We're from South Florida. And so we sang all over Miami-Dade County. We sang for the school board. We sang in airports. We sang on Main Street. We did all these crazy things. We were on TV once. And so that kind of inspired me to want to continue on to be a singer. How I got into band was quite a different story because, let's see, 6th grade, I was in choir. And then 7th grade, I wasn't able to be in choir. So I ended up being in the band class because the choir class was, I don't know if it was full or I couldn't do it. It was a conflict of schedule. So I ended up 7th grade in band, never played or touched an instrument in my life other than the recorder, right? Or the bells, the Glock that everyone had in elementary school, right? Yeah. Right? That whole deal, right?
Right.
So then I put, someone put this horn together for me, and I was like, oh, cool, clarinet. It looks just like a recorder.
Right. Easy, right? No.
They put it together for me, and I was very privileged of having those music classes, so I remembered a little bit of how to read notes and things like that. And so it took me a while. I had a rough start in clarinet, okay?
It's okay, girl. Me too.
It took me a good 2 months to get to middle C. It was very rough. But once I got it,
girl, I know the trouble.
Once I got it, things just kind of took off from there. I was actually in beginning band. By December, I was invited to be a part of advanced band. And I was playing with them. I went to contests with them, played with them. And so, yeah, just took off from there. I don't know where I am in the story. I feel like I'm telling my whole life.
Band life, man. Band life your whole life.
That's life. What was the question again?
So the question was, what made y'all interested in music and joining the band program?
Right. So so you got my halfway done. Oh, sorry. Please forgive me.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. So long story short, TLDR. It it was, you know, in that moment where I thought, this may be a good thing. But I actually still wasn't sold on music. I was dead sold on being a scientist. I wanted to be a marine biologist. How left field is that? Right?
To be honest, I wanted to be a marine biologist too at one point, so I can't even get mad at you.
Right.
I wanted to be an archaeologist till I found out how many bugs were in the ground. This ain't for me.
No. I don't do wildlife, okay? Nah.
Not at all.
Right. But yeah, so that's what got me excited. But what really clinched the deal to join the marching band was in 8th grade, we had a substitute band director, and she took us to the high school to march in their homecoming. Mm-hmm. And that was, you know, it was very, you know, I thought that it was like the best. It was like, man, this big sound is just like awesome. Right. So I hope that answers the question.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah. So that's my journey, and then it's been history from ever since.
Right. I love it. Basically, what about you? Basically the same, kind of, sort of.
Yes and no. I actually, like, I've always been around music. My sister's 10 years older than me. Well, 11 years older than me. And she attempted to play flute at one point in time. So that was around when I was younger. We had neighbors in the marching band. We stayed right down the street from the schools. So it was always instruments around, always music around, always somebody that was in the band around. So it was always one of those things like, what are you doing? And then you get to see them in the parades, and that was the big thing for me when I went to the Martin Luther King Day parade, and everybody was marching down the street. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, this looks fun. And I didn't realize how hot it was going to be in that uniform, but things they don't tell you. Yeah,
things they don't tell you about joining the band.
But the hat, the fucking helmet and hat is hot. Fucking microwave on your head and shit. Like, what? I get it.
We had a conversation earlier about like this upcoming season, like being in the uniform, possibly being in the uniform, and I was like, that's gonna be a lot.
Plus mask, plus face shield, plus this, plus that. Oh my god! I mean, I'm still having PTSD.
Right. I'm like, Lord, please don't let
my phone was small enough to fit in the little pocket. Yeah.
You think the clear is light until you gotta carry that bad boy all day.
Right.
See that thing? Just take it off, put it right in the little inside pocket. I'd be marching out with no instrument. I swear to you. Where are you?
Okay, so the next question we have is what was your experience being in the band, whether it's high school, collegiately, or in the pep band?
Want to take it? I enjoyed most of my experiences.
Good.
I got to meet most of my friends who I still have now. A lot of my lifelong friendships have been developed out of the band or the music program. I got to go different places. You get to see like legendary people that you only hear about on NPR and things like that. Like in middle school, my middle school band director took us to the Adrian Arch Center, and we got to meet Wynton Marsalis. Like, that's stuff like that you don't get if you're not in that arena. And just those experiences, it kind of solidified just my love for music and the band program and things like that. Like, those are once in a lifetime. You're only going to get it if you're in those kind of circles.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And with the fact that I liked those kind of circles, I want to be in the band.
Right. That's pretty much how mostly, you know, how everyone feels about band. It's like once you see it from the march band and then you go over and see them in a concert, and you're like I don't even know what to choose anymore. It's because you're one way with me, you know, being hip hop and pop culture and stuff like that, but then you hear them on a whole different type of level. You know what I'm saying?
They just switch up on you
just like that. You're like, yo, I need to know how to do that.
I'm like the versatility of it all.
It's beautiful.
Right, absolutely. I guess my I want to say highlights. I guess because of band, I probably wouldn't have gone to college. Real talk. I was awarded a scholarship to Bethune-Cookman University, and I got to study under the great Philip Palialonga, Dr. Philip Palialonga, who is also studied under Mitchell Lurie, who prior to his passing, he was one of the prominent clarinetists of the 20th century. And because of band, I've got to travel all up and down the East Coast of the United States, just performing. And because of my major as well, I got to go to a very prominent summer camp where I watch David Schifrin perform, who's a clarinetist, very prominent premier clarinetist of this time, and conductor Joanne Folletta, like these crazy names that I don't think I would have experienced prior to being a band. And then also just the fun, like people don't understand, like there's a whole culture that is surrounded behind bands, and not only just band culture in and of itself, Black band culture, because it's just so like it really is a difference. It truly is a difference. Like the way we move, the way we have just such a pride for our respective programs, the way we have such camaraderie when it comes to other programs. Like for example, the big rivalry between Bethune-Cookman University is Florida A&M University. A lot of people don't understand that. Yeah, we had a rivalry. Yeah, we trash talk and all of that. But I knew all of the band members at Florida A&M University. I called them my freshman brothers and sisters when we were there together. I still am in contact with them. So, it's such collegiate wise. I think those are experiences that I'll never forget. Meeting wonderful people, being able to study under people, as a musician, but then also like just the lasting fun and the memories that will last a lifetime.
Right. I love it. I asked you this is because, well, marching band seems like a very masculine thing, if you really have ever noticed. So I want to know, like, as women and as Black women, when you was marching for Bethune and when you was marching for Memorial, did y'all go through any discrimination, not only as women but as Black women as well?
That's a heavy. That's the SpongeBob. That's the meme right there. All right.
I can definitely say, as a woman, yeah. Don't get me wrong, I had a lot of great guys around me, but there were also the ones that didn't know how to either check their ego, check their bias, check their attitude. Like it happens, and it's a constant struggle. So it's one of those things that as women, we know it comes with the territory, especially because it is one of those male dominated things. And for me, it was like I wasn't doing sports, and for a lot of the traditional sports, because marching band is a sport. But a lot of the guys that were in the marching band, they didn't do any other traditional sports either. This was their sport, just like it was our sport. But just like they pay female soccer players and female football players and all that less, and don't give it as much fan space and advertising space, they do the same thing with female marching band members. Like it's one of those, because when I I'm not going to
we had that conversation just yesterday. We was like, yo, like, it's weird, like, I'm just going to take like the trombone section. Say you got, you know, females and stuff, it's mixed together. You know that female can outplay that one male trombone player. We know it, we've heard it, but all of a sudden, how is it that as a woman only get 6K, but he's out here got 8, 9K? Like what? Like, wait a minute. And then he's late to practice. You don't have sectionals. Like,
it.
I'm not just saying.
Honestly, that's actually an interesting story of how I even received my scholarship. I was actually afforded a scholarship my freshman year. I didn't march until my sophomore year because I was told when I got there they needed me for clarinets.
What's that meme of what's her name?
But like,
You'd be like,
but I mean, I don't know if that was a contributing factor to this particular question, but what I can say is my experiences were I didn't necessarily back in college, I didn't necessarily have, I guess, I want to say the posture that I have now to really, you know, assert myself, if that makes sense. So I had a lot of moments where I was just like being walked on, and I didn't really know how to express it or how to address it towards people. And not only just discrimination with being a woman just in of itself, but instrument discrimination, like just exactly what you're saying. Like, you know that there are female trombone players, tuba players that are just blowing these men out the water, but then they're not getting the acceptance and they're not getting or the recognition that they deserve. And not only that, like, even it starts early. It doesn't even just start collegiate, because in the middle school, you know, they're giving all the girls, you know, the flutes, the clarinets, the old what's perceived to be girly. When in all honesty, there are so many.
I wanted to play trumpet, and I was told, no, you're not playing trumpet. We have enough trumpet. It's all right.
What?
Yeah. And so that's the thing. It's like the perception of what musicianship is as it relates to gender, as it relates to you know, some sort of standard of whatever. Like I've noticed certain classes of instruments get overlooked than others. Like if they have a majority female group, like if it's a majority female section, they get overlooked. If it's it's like completely overlooked. Like it's not even, it's blank.
Like you might as well be all they looking at you for is the dance routine.
Yeah. And so it's just kind of, it's a little disheartening. So I think part of it is encouraging students or encouraging people who may be thinking about band or maybe interested. Just try anything you want to do. I don't care if you want to go percussion. Like I know, as a matter of fact, I was just talking to
several.
I was talking to Karen.
Great female percussion.
There are Alana Weisling is another one. She is one of the first female principal timpanists of the Tucson Symphony Orchestra. One of my friends from when I went to Interlochen Center for the Arts. She's an amazing percussionist. Anything she puts her hands on, if it taps, claps, crashes, bangs, whatever it is, she can play it. It's incredible, you know. But like how hard she had to fight. Like as a matter of fact, she did a live on her Facebook page about, you know, talking about BLM and like, you know, the whole movement of getting people to speak out about the discrimination in their own fields. Well, she talked about the discrimination, how hard she's had to fight being a female percussionist, not only a female percussionist, but a percussionist of color, you know, and it's just, you know, we shouldn't have to fight tooth and nail when we have the talent.
Right, exactly.
It's not, you know, and that's why, like, one of my heroes, I had the privilege of listening to him on, it wasn't last year, it was the year before. So 2018, I went to New York, and I saw Anthony McGill live. Never forget it in all of my days. This guy, like, after that, I followed everything. And I was so happy because he liked one of my photos on Instagram, and I was like a big baby. I was like, ah!
You was freaking out. I know I would.
Oh my gosh.
I did the same thing with Cheryl Underwood, like my tweet. I was like, oh that was my past grand. I'm a Zeta. So that was my past international grand basilisk, and I got to meet her when she came down to Miami one time, and I posted the picture of us, and she actually liked it. I was like, oh my God. I was like, him, I was freaking out, and Natural 85, I was freaking out. Those are the two people I met. Natural 85 in Las Vegas, like before the craze. So yeah. But honestly, just, you know, I meant to have a point, and then it left me. So I do apologize for that. But I will say it starts from early, getting directors and music leaders to understand that there's more to music than this perceived notion that girls have to have this or boys have to have that, or anyone has to have any sort of thing just based on what, like, nothing. So I think it's the image that's projected of the gentility of instruments like the flute and the clarinet and like some of the lighter woodwind instruments, right, that really gives that whole notion that women should be playing this. And it's like,
right. But clearly,
I mean, I like it. Mm-hmm. I like it, and I love playing my flute. Don't get me wrong. I wanted to play trumpet, and then I heard Nestor Torres. So, I mean, it pulls back and forth, but there's also all sorts of people that you can draw on. And one of the main reasons that I'm even actually putting myself out here and doing this, because I don't like being on camera or talking in front of people. Like, I have horrible stage fright. But one of the reasons that I'm doing this is because you have to have that actual representation being shown. Because if it's like, we know it's hundreds and thousands of women that have gone through marching band and played their ass off, but you still just see the men.
Right.
All the way up to drum major. I think it was, 2 years ago? And Jackson State just had the first female drum major or something like that.
And then the year after, you had Florida A&M University.
Yeah, so
that too.
And we've been watching marching bands for at least the past 30 years.
At least.
At least. Like, we know these programs are older than that, but we've been actually watching it for the last 30 years. And you just see that now. Like, it's the same thing, like, with the fact that we are still having the first Black this and the first woman that, and it's like, why is it so hard for you to believe that somebody of this gender or this race can do this? And then when you put them both together, it gives you a whole nother category of first we haven't hit yet.
Right.
And it's just like, come on, like, recognize your biases, recognize like what's going on. And a lot of these organizations need to do some introspection and look at how they're actually running their organizations. Are you giving Black women or women of color actual say or role in your organization?
Right.
Because if you haven't given them a role, you definitely haven't given them a say.
And when I mean by that, like, outside of the flags and outside of being a dance company.
Exactly, because it's not just auxiliary. And auxiliary could get a little bit more colorful if you want me to be honest too. Yep. But they don't want to have that conversation either.
We're going to have to talk outside. But you kind of touched on the next question that I was going to bring up, is what made y'all decide to create this platform together? And will you just elaborate more about your podcast?
Okay, so Blowing Hot Air podcast, the idea was birthed out of just a need for representation, not only creating a space for Black band culture specifically, but then also Black musicianship, because I feel that Black musicianship as it relates to classical music and alternative music and music of just not mainstream. Because we have platforms, right? We have Black artist platforms, Black music platforms, but they're not showing the whole picture. Not everyone is into rap. Not everyone is into pop, or not everyone is into rock, whatever the mainstream pushes out. And so you have Black musicians like me who I can name more Mozart concertos than I can name Fetty Wap.
Yeah, no, she's my
or like rap.
Like, I'm so sorry.
She's my classical music library.
Right.
Like,
right, and it doesn't mean that I don't like these things. And that's one thing too that makes Black band culture especially so unique, is because we can take the rap songs, we can take the all of these different genres, and we can create it in a way that it marries beautifully musically. We can arrange them in a way that we can have all those colors and nuances of an entire orchestra marching down the field, right? And so that's what makes our culture specifically beautiful. Not necessarily just doing the the big ensemble pieces, the big the big band pieces or things like that, which I it's not a bad thing. I definitely admire like show style and course style and DCI bands. Like, I admire the artistry and the pieces and the time and the effort that they take, because they're sweating on the field with us too. You know what I mean?
What, my ankles could take that.
Roll knee. Ooh. But I mean, not roll knee. I said roll knee. Roll ankle.
Roll knee, roll ankle, all of that hurt at the concert band season, okay? Lord. Look,
but what makes us unique is, kind of like marrying that military style, and then you turn around and you switch it up and it becomes a big concert, right? Like a Beyonce Coachella meets music, know, or like a full production in a show. And so going back to your question, I know I take a whole bunch of tangents. We just wanted to create a platform, a space where we talked about Black musicianship, Black culture, HBCU band culture, and then joining and marrying and highlighting our experiences.
And just to add to it, it's also about giving people that insight on what they're losing when they don't have the arts. Yes. Especially in the Black community.
Oh, yes.
Because I don't know if you saw episode, I think it was episode 2, and I just went off on a clean tirade. Yeah, I know. We trade off on tangents. Mine usually, has some sort of political spin to it on how I get off on but
or I wish the would.
She had to create a soundbite just because I cuss so much. It's just it happened. Right. It happened. But it's to make sure that people know what happens when you don't have that musical portion of culture. Like it's in everything that we do. So if you're not supporting it, and from an early stage, you're going to lose that. And you also lose all the other elements that come along with it, like the better test scores, the better engagement and creativity, the better, just more exercise. You get a kid in marching band, it's like they may be a little bigger, but they healthy. Because they can outrun you, I bet you. So as far as it goes, like it promotes health, it promotes creativity, it promotes actually having engagement with your emotions and stuff like that.
Health, having an outlet.
Yeah, it gives you an outlet. It helps harbor empathy. Like it does all sorts of things, especially when you expose them to not just the music side, like the musical instrument side of it, but the vocal side, and then you have the theater side. You just start expanding and opening those doors, and you can do that all from putting the instrument in their hand.
Absolutely.
And when you start that early enough, it becomes a habit. It becomes something that's a part of them, and they're able to grow with it, and they get that good foundation that they can take to other things. Like, these skills translate everywhere.
Absolutely.
Like, how many times have you used your band skills outside the band?
I apply to life.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you hate to admit it, but you use it everywhere. Well, most people hate to admit it. We're band geeks, so we understand. Like, it translates everywhere. So it's just that push to make sure that our educators are getting the support that they need. So letting people know how they can donate to their local band programs, letting them know they need to donate to their local band programs, because that might be why they don't have a local band program. Telling them to petition their school boards, telling them how to get involved with the program, how to volunteer, even if you're giving them a case of water or sending them $20 every 2 months, whatever you can do.
Or adopting a rookie, or adopting a first year. Like,
use your talents and make sure that the next generation has a better experience than what you have.
Donate a box of reeds or a vowel or something.
Right.
You know,
not always mess up and lose. Like,
I definitely agree with you. Like, I just wish people would just like donate their time, donate their water, just volunteer at band camp, like help cook. Like, these kids need to eat. The kids need to eat at band camp. The kids need to eat before, a little bit before the games and stuff. Just do something to help contribute to the program.
We need more uniforms, period.
They'll take that. For real.
Yeah.
Like, that's like one of our goals, like with CBG. Like, we hope to, in the future, once we like are more like financially stable, to like help pay for someone's dues, or help like with someone's scholarship to go to these programs.
Right.
We just want to be able to help in any way we can.
Yeah, I'm glad that you said that, because that is actually kind of a third pillar of what I hope to create as well, or we hope to create as well, is to provide scholarships too. Like, and then also I wanted to gear it specifically towards music majors, because I find that a lot of kids that they're in the band middle school. If they have a middle school program, they're in band in high school, and then they get to college, and they're in band in college, but they don't necessarily want to pursue music, which is a-okay. I marched with so many people who turned out to be nurses, lawyers, doctors, all of the different professions. But a lot of the times, these kids feel that they can't major in music, that it's not a viable option for them, or they don't know that it's an option at all, that you can actually make a living or survive off of being off of being a musician, a music major, or any other part of the music industry as a whole. And so I wanted to create an incentive for students to major in music, because I think it's very important to encourage them to pursue a degree in the field.
And roles that you typically wouldn't hear of. So everybody knows about the band director. Everybody knows about the producer or the engineer or the musician itself, or the wedding gigger, the jazz gigger, all kinds of stuff like that. But you don't hear about the
orchestra bands. I'm sorry, film scoring.
Or you can hear about like the
Foley artistry,
the librarians, any of those nuanced fields that you can go into and make some good money if you're good at it.
Right.
But it's just a lack of knowing that these things are available.
So yeah, as a matter of fact, I think in our episode, we're not band directors. We had a whole episode dedicated towards that very point, right? Because so often, especially me being a music major, the reason why I was turned off from the education portion initially of music, of the music program, is because they basically set you up to be a band director. well, not everyone wants to be a band director.
Right.
You can totally do music education and not be a band director. You can, guess what? You can go into composition.
Right.
You can go, maybe on the collegiate side and just focus on, let's see, choir directing if you wanted to do that, like choral directing, and
you could do what adjunct professor for performance where you're doing just your specific instrument. Like you do what is it? You can do technique classes or coaching or something that's along the education lines, but not in a public school setting.
Right. Music therapy is also being really big, especially now mental health is now getting more prominence and being really big. Being a music therapist, you have to obviously go to medical school and get certified, but that is a very viable thing. But you also have to have the knowledge of music to know which chords and which frequencies do things that will affect the human body. So that's also a very viable music profession. And then also music law, going into copywriting. That's a big thing now. How many lawsuits? Music business
artists need that, like real life, like, no, you need to check that contract.
Also, like I said, Foley artistry, a lot of people don't know what Foley artistry is. It's basically the sound, all of the sound effects. So all of the ambient sound, like for example, if you had an animated feature, they have to recreate those sounds from scratch. Right. So not only is the dialogue, part of it, but also you have the film score. If you want to go on the composition side, you can start doing the film score. Video games are really big, so you can write music for video games. We don't really do TV jingles anymore, but the sound for the TV it is included in music. Right. Sound for live sound for concerts. Like, the list goes on and on. We'll be here all day. But one thing I can say is making sure that students are aware that it's possible. That if they had any sort of inclination towards music, that they're not turned off from it because they feel like they have to be put in a box or feel like they have to be a certain way in the profession.
Right.
And then a lot of people just don't want to teach right now.
Because they get paid.
Exactly. Like that's one of the big things. Like for me, it was early mornings. I'm not gonna lie. I am not a morning person. Anything before 10 a.m. and I hate it. But I try, and I couldn't even do substitute teaching because it was just I'm an insomniac, and mornings weren't my thing. So eventually, when I did start going back to school, that's why I went from music education to I went to political science next, but then I went to my current major. But that's why I changed my major, because music education wasn't a viable option for me. And if it wasn't going to be music education, I really didn't know what I would do outside of that.
Right.
So it would be private lessons, it would be all that other kind of stuff, but it would still be education, and it wouldn't be as lucrative as if I was to go out and do something I was completely outside of my comfort zone doing.
Or knew about the other options and had access to it.
I could have done some Foley artistry. That would have been fun.
Foley artistry is so much fun. Oh my goodness, multimedia.
Like if you get a chance to YouTube it, like it's hilarious to watch. It really is. It's hilarious to watch. It's just like guys sitting there with shoes, just click clacking them, or and dropping rice.
And then that little grabbling stuff when they was walking on the side. I know the video you're talking about. But that's like somebody dumb though, because people were always wondering, like, all right, like, how do y'all make this sound so clear? Because I'm like, what, like, do you put the camera all the way up to the foot? Like, really? Like a recorder?
No, they recreate the sounds.
Yeah, they recreate all of the sounds, and it's they overlay it just like a regular track.
That's so dope. Okay, so with your podcast, Blowing Hot Air, right? What was like some of your accomplishments when you first started when you first started your podcast, and what were some difficulties to gain your followers with your podcast?
That's a very interesting question. I would say, what was the Mama I Made It moment? When
we reached 100 likes on Facebook.
Oh yeah, listen, we had a whole live stream, girl.
We would go buy somebody lunch. Like we were ecstatic.
Like, realize, we about to be out here. When we found our rhythm, because we literally prefaced the podcast with, we are the two most awkwardest beings on the planet.
Oh, no,
so for us to come together in awkwardness.
Yeah, we come together in awkwardness.
We love it though. Y'all are just like us. So that it's
so in all honesty, the podcast itself is a victory. Because catch us 10 years ago. This
catch
was
us 2 years ago.
Last year. This, like, honestly, it wouldn't have happened. And I think that's like a testament to anybody who's watching who may, be sitting on a dream or sitting on something that they want to do right now. Like, if we're the extra push that you need, take it.
Please.
Honestly, if we're all of us, if we're the extra push that you need, because we have voices out there and they need to be heard, and there's an audience for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And, don't feel that you're going to be shortchanged or you're going to be silenced by anyone. This beautiful thing of technology gave everyone a voice. It's a beauty and a curse.
Yeah.
But if we use it for beauty, for most things, then I think that will do service to all of the platforms, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But I think, that was that. And then the challenge, I guess, was continuing to show up, continuing to, even when,
because life sucks sometimes.
Yeah. Even when things are going on in, our personal lives, or things are going on in, also work life, all of that jazz, that you're still continuing to show up.
I'm so tired right now.
Yeah.
My ankles are tree trunks. We have just did 7 days of 14-hour days. My ankles are tree trunks right now.
Yes.
Okay.
We have had a week. Okay. I can't even, like, it would take a whole another hour.
We're gonna get to it.
It would take another hour. But what I can say is, continuing to show up. I'm excited for, our, I guess we did like kind of a preview of some sorts of our episodes. And then we'll be starting off with like full length sometime I want to say at the end of next month. Until then, leading up until then, we're gonna have different little clips and snippets and things like that. Be
snippets. We gotta roll back into it slow because
we got sideswiped. I mean, everyone did, but it,
well, with Corona, no, we got rolled over with the bulldozer. Like, no, like this has been absolutely just, like I've been a homeschool teacher since January, February, whenever they let school out. And when's the last time you did first grade math and explained it to a first grader?
Oh, bless your little heart,
Woo! And
it was a long, hard road.
Yeah, for her. And then my studio disappeared overnight because I teach private lessons. It disappeared overnight. So I've been slowly building back a virtual base. But just some of the. But that's it's kind of like
no
you
side
have the challenges, right?
Because I ain't getting Corona, so I ain't putting nobody in my car. I'm not doing it.
Just not.
I'm just riding broke.
Just making it. But you know what? We're gonna look back on this 5 years time, and we're gonna really just, not thank, because we're not thanking Rona, but we will learn from the experiences that we had from these moments. Just us, just talking, conversing. And we'll say, that happens.
Right.
We persevered, right? But then we die.
Yeah.
No, I mean, well, we make it 5 years.
But did you die?
I'm just saying. Like, I mean, think about it. When you was going through band camp, and
like I almost died a couple of times. Okay, truth be told.
Like, and you had 9 seconds to get from point A to point B.
I know this experience. Have y'all ever been walking off the band field and just couldn't see nothing? It was like I just muscle memory to get to the water. Muscle memory to get to water because it was that or dying.
Right. It ain't enough water.
You passed out. Evac ain't gonna get me.
So you gotta wait until about 200 people get water, and then you get the last bit of the water.
And by the time you get to the fountain, whistle about to be blown. Like you ain't got no time. That's it.
Goddamn.
That's why I kept me a hot $2. I'm going straight to the vending machine. Leave me alone.
No, but seriously. I did that though. I had my little water bottle. I was not playing around. That joint had a nice hunk ice inside. So by the time I got there,
with that big block though. Big block.
No. Here's something real. If you are watching this, invest in a Camelback.
Camelback.
Yeah. I got one right here.
Hello.
If you are going, if your school is opening in August and y'all are doing band camp, invest in a Camelback.
Your life.
That Camelback will save your life.
It really will. It's a little awkward at first, but trust me, you won't care. I swear to you.
Once you get used to it,
you know medicinal cooling packs, like the cool packs.
Mm-hmm.
I would invest in some of those too. You don't need it. You don't the cool compress, but you gonna need it soon. Some big game.
Yeah. The instant ice packs, the Bengay.
Right. And if you up north, it does get cold, and you outside shivering with your horn, and your horn is getting sharper by the second.
Okay.
I need you to invest in
some hand warmers.
Hand warmers. Like, this is not a joke, y'all.
I used to stick it right up underneath. Don't nobody know. My hands gonna be warm. Everything else
band hacks. All right, band hacks.
Right, band hacks.
It's easier for the ladies, man. It was just so much easier for us because we.
Oh my gosh!
For the love of the Lord, please be a baby wipe. Don't be out here. Don't be out here slipping, okay? In this Rona season, because mass breath is a real thing.
I am enjoying this so much.
Yes. Oh, yes. When we actually come back to Miami, we have to get together, y'all. This
So earlier we was talking about your name. So we just want to know, like, of course, I have an idea how y'all came up with the name, but was that like the first name y'all thought of? Did y'all have like other names for the podcast?
Man, that's a good question. So like way back, we were
shooting the shit. We were trying to figure out, like, we kind of brainstormed. We were like, are we gonna do this? Are we gonna do this? We had got it down to like 2 or 3 different names, and then it was like, let's see what's actually available on all the platforms, because consistent branding is a thing. So that was kind of like it was available. We liked it. We could think of things to do with it. It was catchy. It was something that we could actually market with. It was something that we could actually like flex meanings with. We could do some, like, it had room to play. Right. And we liked it. And it wasn't too overbearing. It wasn't too out there. And it was still consistent with the theme of what we wanted to talk about.
Right. And then also because of the fact that we're so awkward, and sometimes honestly, I have to write a whole docket for us, otherwise we will never stay on topic. We will never.
That's
right. I would say we have our list of questions
right here. We have like stick to the question.
We will always be off task. Like, I cannot tell you how many formulation periods that were supposed to be an episode that never happened.
Yeah.
Because we was just being naughty the whole day.
No, we're not doing it.
And then either I have a class or she has to run out somewhere, and we're just like, well,
I have a class, but she has to go somewhere. Like, we literally had to record our first episode in my bedroom after it had just got remodeled, and I was in the process of moving everything back into it. So I had one blank side. Like if you look at the
You didn't have a door.
I didn't have a door. I didn't have a door on, and if you look, there's no clothes in the closet that we're sitting in front of. And then in the next episode, there's clothes in the closet we're sitting in front of. So, like we've had to like move and manipulate stuff, and it's just like oh, if anybody wants to sponsor green screen, we are more than happy to take it.
Anybody in the interwebs, one of my inter cousins, just go ahead and
I understand that.
But yeah, I just I guess that's a testament to the spirit. Is like when you want to like. It's hard to press record, even under those circumstances, but press it anyway. Because when I tell you that our episodes that we have right now, I'm so proud of them. They're a riot to listen back to us. But I'm proud that we pressed record, and I'm proud that we got our thing known, because had we not, with this whole civil unrest going on and all of the our current events going on in the world, and I tend not to, we tend not to talk too much on that, but we do have our moments for sure.
Yeah, she makes me shut up.
So, and so, but had I not done that, I wouldn't have had a colleague of mine, someone I really, really respect in music. She reached out to me and asked how could she in her space, I guess, contribute more to the cause, to
enhancing Black musicianship,
right? Enhancing Black musicianship and being more prominent. And
Black people and people of color in this space.
Right. And being more intentional about her selections and things like that. And like, I would have never in a million years thought that, and since then other people have reached out to me. Never had I thought that a podcast that we started in, someone's recently remodeled bedroom would, actually spark that and actually, I guess, put that in that person's heart to want to reach out and to want to understand. And so that, to me, like, I have to keep going after that, because how many more people can we reach? How many more people can, understand that nuance of, buying, teaming up together. Okay, all of the clarinets get together and we buy a couple boxes of reeds and then share the reeds, like those type of struggles. There are some certain programs that don't have those struggles. And so for them to hear that and like, wow, you did all that with that and you're still getting the jobs and you still are working, like, man, y'all really have to work this hard. And like, yeah. We really do.
That definitely reminds us back in high school. Like back in high school. That definitely reminds us that because we marched together in high school. So like our first band director, like we didn't have sheet music for a while. Like he had to like give us the notes and like
he gave us notes. No, what he did was he put it in flute form and said transpose it.
Sometimes he would sometimes do both. Sometimes he would do both. We didn't have uniforms. Like all of our uniforms were our windbreakers.
Oh yeah, we had windbreakers, no uniforms at all.
Oh yeah, that's our struggle. That's a whole struggle right there. What?
Like I didn't get a uniform until like what?
My senior year,
back in 2010.
That's crazy. What did you do?
So it looks like our live, it says that we have a minute left. So we're going to go ahead and end it and restart it, and we'll invite you back to the live. Okay. So, Carrie, you want to hang tight? We'll be right back.
Alrighty.
Hey, guys.
And we're back.
Sorry about that, guys. We had to take a brief intermission. So we're just going to wait for our ladies to come back. And we just got a couple of more questions for them. Like I definitely hope y'all enjoyed our live with them. We are having such a great time with Blowing Hot Air Podcast.
Gonna go ahead and invite them back in.
Hello.
Back.
All right. So hopefully you can see us a little better. I know my melanin is extra
extra glowy, golden, sis. I love the fro.
Thank
Like,
you.
it's just everything.
Hopefully this is a little better.
Y'all look
You
good.
get
Y'all look
it.
good.
So, our next question, this should be a fun one. So, what are y'all thoughts on FAMU and Bethune-Cookman leaving the MEAC and heading to the SWAC?
What? That move? Like, I mean, I have mixed emotions, right? Because when I was there, we were part of MEAC. And so we had already, well, I guess for me, I had already noticed that certain universities started leaving the MEAC even back then. And so the conference itself, I don't know much about sports, even though I was kind of like sports stuff. Listen, I was kind of like I say in the podcast, I'm not a purist, but I was kind of one of those people where, you know, wake me up when we get to the when we get to the stadium. I don't know what we playing. It's like literally, we will play a show and then I would hear it on the radio and I'd be like, that's what we play?
Right, you don't really know.
Like, I was that person. So I don't really know much about like what was going on or like the I guess the sports side of it. But as far as, you know, leaving like some of the staples within the MEAC, like it was North Carolina Central, I know we played North Carolina A&T at one point, but I don't know, I think they were SWAC or starting to turn. Like certain universities I would always know that we were playing in our conference. And so to not have that now is kind of it would be a little weird. But at the same time, like the trade-off of like Jackson State,
it's gonna get nice, right?
Like, it's gonna I just started naming names and I'm sure I upset people, but like all of these other universities that are a part of the SWAC, like all of the people who say, oh, you know, if they came over to SWAC, we'll see. You know, I don't know about that MEAC over there. They can stay over there. Oh, okay, well now we're here. What's up? So
We pulled up, right?
I think know it's gonna be amazing. Like all jokes aside, like I love. Obviously, you know, I have a lot of pride for my university and Bethune-Cookman University. I have a lot of respect and admiration for Florida A&M University. They were partly responsible for getting Bethune-Cookman University marching pride off the map, you know, in the beginning stages and things like that, with Dr. Foster. And so, you know, I have a lot of respect for that program. But what they're going to bring this fall is all I can say is them boys, I hope they ready. Just saying.
Yeah, I heard Dr. Will.
And I have babies in each one.
Yeah, I'm new to the MEAC SWAC world because my school ain't even in those conferences. But being the outsider looking in, I can see kind of why the move is taking place. Because you have like the Gramblings and who else is over there?
Southern and stuff like that.
Southern
and all of them.
They're Alabama State, Alabama A&M right there.
Alabama A&M,
yeah. So they're more of the heavier hitters in this current round of musicians that's going around with marching band. And I love us and our athletes and stuff like that, but our athletes usually don't go to HBCUs. So it's going to be real interesting now that this move is going on and everybody's starting to hop on the HBCU train. So I want to see what football season go look like. I really do. But when it comes down to it, halftime was game time for a lot of these games. So for them to be the power hitters, and then you have these two dominant schools that aren't in that conference with a lot of the power hitters, it made sense for that move to take place in my mind.
Yeah.
And the game ain't over till there's the fifth quarter.
Right. And that fifth quarter finna be hitting. I can't wait.
We're gonna have so much to blow hot air to.
Okay. So, well, speaking of that, so we all know that MEAC sound and bands sound way different than SWAC bands. We all know there's a totally different musicianship style, period, and stuff like that. Do you think Bethune-Cookman and FAMU are going to have to adapt to the styles of the SWAC, or do you think they're just going to be like, look, this is how you're really supposed to do it, how to be a SWAC band with some musicianship? No shade, I promise. No shade, but still, really.
Right. So I like none taken. I feel that there's going to be a trade-off, in my opinion, because, you know, SWAC bands, they have a certain style that that makes them a SWAC band. And, you know, like you said, for so long, MEAC has had a certain style, a certain rhythm as well. So to then marry the two, I feel like some of the cultures, while some of the cultures may clash a little bit in the beginning, a lot of trade-offs are going to happen. Mm-hmm. What I can guarantee from the programs that are being added in Florida A&M University and BCU is that both bands have a complete sound. Both bands, you know, it is still that sound that's, you know, you're not really seeing so much in SWAC. But I feel that this generation of musicians in either side of the coin are really marrying a lot of different styles together in this age of technology. Before, it was in order to experience these bands, you had to go to a battle of the bands, or you had to, you know, wait till it came out on somebody's tape or somebody, you know, in a web somewhere, or it's a lot more access that, like, they can literally press a button and
you're transported
to all of the different sounds, all of the different arrangements of music now. And we're left up to the audience to decide what sounds good and what doesn't. And so I think that it's going to be a lot of give and take. There's going to be a lot of things that FAMU and BCU give to the plate. It's going to be a lot of things that, you know, the SWAC that they're now forced to pay attention to now that they have become a part of the conference. And it's going to be a lot of just a little. I just all the laugh session. But yeah, it's gonna, a lot of give and take is gonna take place. I really love what both sides of the coins are doing. I think we did like a little precursor before we went on our huge hiatus. When we went to the Battle of the Bands, went to the Honda Battle of the Bands, and so I got to see a lot of the different bands. Well, only 8, but a lot of what the bands have to offer in each of the conferences up until this point. And there are a lot of great qualities in a show, in the stand music, and in just the program as a whole that make the band what it is, but not only just that particular program, but make the culture what it is. So everyone's gonna give and take from everyone else because they have that technology that gives them access directly to all aspects of the program that we maybe didn't have when we had our day. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, we definitely had a piecemeal system where it come from me, go to you, come from me, go to you. And it even passed down to the feeder patterns. So all of the schools down here, the majority of us, we were going to Bethune, Edward Waters. You might get somebody going to Georgia State or Grambling or something like that, but you didn't have a majority of them trying to go all up and down the East Coast or down the coastal states and stuff like that. Right. Now, there's more accessibility to even know that those schools exist.
Right.
If your family wasn't from that school, you didn't know that school existed. You knew what you saw. So, and you knew what your band director was. And if if you were from South Florida, your band director probably came from FAM or Bethune, and or what's the other school?
Was Edward Waters? Or was it?
No, not Edward Waters, because Edward Waters really didn't have too many band directors that I know.
Like if they were from Georgia,
Southern, yeah.
like Southern like, or ASU, some of them went.
Maybe Grambling. I know one of my friends' moms went to Grambling and stuff like that, but you weren't getting too far up the coast, is what I'm getting at.
Right.
Now you can go all the way up to Jackson State, all that kind of stuff like that.
Like it's real interesting that you say that that's what's going down in Florida, because we had that problem up here in PG County, Maryland, like really, really, really bad. Like the kids, like they'll know about, like up here they know about the bases, the Howard University, the Morgan, the Bowie State, the Norfolk, Virginia State, and all that that's in this area. But what Certified Band Geeks, what we've been doing is like we're showing you Mississippi Valley, we're showing you UAPV, we're showing different type of HBCUs to show that there's more,
like Prairie View way out in Texas.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
There's basically more to HBCU bands than the ones that people talk about regularly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's 4 HBCUs in Florida. Florida Memorial is the only HBCU in South Florida. And then you have Bethune-Cookman in Daytona, you have FAMU in Tallahassee, and then you have Edward Waters in Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. So we have 4 down here, and then everything else you got to go cross state line. But yeah, that's what we drew from. And everybody, like, you could pretty much pick a high school and you knew where the majority of their kids were going.
Mm-hmm.
At one point in time, everybody at Carroll City was going to FAMU. At one point in time, everybody from Carroll City was split between FAMU and Bethune. It was a year that all of them went to Bethune.
Yeah.
Like, it depends on where your band director went, like what you've been exposed to and all that kind of stuff like that. And it just shows how important the feeder patterns are.
Right.
So we were fortunate enough to have majority Black school with a Black band director who influenced us to go to HBCUs. Mm-hmm. But if you're not in that type of environment, how are you going to get exposed to it? How are you going to know? Unless you actually put that branch out and be like, hey, this is an option. This is an option. Right. And outside of our circle, we got to do more reaching out to pull in our future generations that don't know what a HBCU is outside of a hashtag.
Right. And then one other thing that when you were saying that it actually made me think about how the band directors and the team, the band staff itself has to now stretch because of that. Like now they have to go and recruit in places they've never recruited before. Yeah. Because I remember so many times, Dr. Wells, who's the band director of Bethune, it seemed like he was only drawing kids from, Charleston, South Carolina, and, some kids in Miami, and maybe a couple kids in Georgia, Stevenson High School and these other places, and that's basically it. Mm-hmm. Now, like, the sky's the limit. You can literally draw people from anywhere and everywhere. They're going to know who you are because, again, the technology tells them, and then
you can have a whole virtual audition.
Yes, you can.
We
right.
Like, that. We started
that
when we were 18. I was like, now that right there, shoot, that could have saved us a whole lot of problems when we were freshmen.
What? Are you kidding me? Like, my life could have been a whole lot different because I actually had like a scholarship to a band, but the admissions office kind of messed me up. So I ended up at a different HBCU. Yeah.
We'll have to talk about that later too.
Got stories for days. Ooh, baby.
So the next question we have here is, what are y'all expecting to see from these programs in their first SWAC season?
As far as Bethune and FAMU.
I expect them to keep doing them until they're forced to, they're forced to evolve in certain areers. But overall, like they both have solid programs. FAM had we had the hiatus, and then now they're building. They're in the process of building back their program and doing some amazing things. We have former students that are now in Florida A&M, also in Bethune. And so we're excited for both of their upcoming seasons. We're excited for them to continue to, and I guess in our eyes, I'm a little biased.
So yeah, she got home team.
Honestly, I just continue to be as consistent as they can, but they're also realizing that in this new landscape of people can just click a button and then they get to decide what's good and what's not, and you no longer have that sort of field advantage of Floridians only knowing about you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That type of thing. Now they decide what's good and what's not, and so you're competing not only with those opinions, but then also how do you grow and evolve as a program.
Mm-hmm. I actually have a slightly different take on it. I do think they're going to do a lot of the same, but I think part of it is going to be because they got a point to prove. They going to a brand new conference. I'm coming to show up and show out. I'm going to show my whole rear ends. And I'm going to do what I've been doing. I'm going to show you why I've been a beast in the conference I've been in. Okay. And we haven't got to see head to head as much as we have. So this fifth quarter, it's gonna be juicy. We do it. We go run them straight down the line, because you might as well pull up a chair and just sit for another hour, because we're going to have to
the book don't
duke
end.
It out.
The book don't end.
We're gonna have to duke it out, because it's been so many years of friendly rivalries and what ifs that now you have the opportunity to do it. Oh, let's have fun.
Right.
Yeah. Let's have fun. I'm gonna do this, and we finna have fun. That's my take on it. So I think for at least the next 2 years, I think somebody in the comments said the next 2 or 3 years. Yeah. Band Geek Vision Life, they said next 2 or 3 years. I think about the same thing. It's gonna be about 2-3 years before they make any sort of fundamental changes to their program.
Mm-hmm. So before we go to the next question, so we have only a few more questions to ask. If you're looking at this live right now and you have any questions for these ladies from the Blowing Hot Air podcast, please comment, and so that we can address it after we ask our following questions.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
all right. So this question is for you. So you were talking about how we heard about Florida Memorial and how they're about to get a football team and a marching band. So how you feeling about it? Like, what are we supposed to be?
How did y'all feel when they first announced it?
Yeah.
I cried tears of joy.
Literally cried.
I called her. I called and texted her at like 3:00 in the morning, because they dropped the video in the middle of the night, like nobody was gonna see it. And
like 1 in the morning.
It really was. It was like 1, 2 in the morning. And I cried tears of joy, because it was like, this is everything that while I was at the school, I wanted to happen. Like there's been talks of a football program for decades, not years, decades. And for you to have that full college, not full college experience, because I had a full college experience while I was there, but to have that, what I know type of experience where I have football games and marching band and parades. Like we did parades, we did the basketball season and everything like that, but there's nothing like football season.
Like
there's nothing like halftime. And it was just something that I wanted so bad. And we've tried so hard to do what we could, but the school wasn't ready for it at the time. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's a lot of contributing factors, but ultimately the school wasn't ready for it at the time.
FMU was deep.
Yeah.
Yes, Lord.
Yes,
they coming in swinging, okay?
When I tell you, like, any alumni, like, I got friends that marched with me talking about, I want to go to grad school because I want to join the band. And, like, it's serious. It really is. It's serious. And it's such a joy, and it's going to be such a great enhancement to the university. And we have a phenomenal band director in Richard Beckford, and we have some great musicians as band as like the assistant directors and band staff and stuff like that. Like, it's a phenomenal group, and I couldn't be happier with actually seeing it come to fruition,
right,
and actually being around to see it come to fruition.
It's like we hit the band lottery. Just the sheer amount. Honestly, South Florida hit the band lottery. Mm-hmm. The sheer amount of talent on the band staff itself. Like, you have, you know, the director of bands, Mr. Richard Beckford, who we call that band Houdini. If you listen to our I call him the band Houdini. But honestly, he's kind of like what did they call him the other day? Like a Nick Fury. And he gathered all of his Avengers together. And he has all of these, you know, Thor and Captain America, you know, all of that, right?
It really is a superhero squad.
It's just such a, like, almost a dream team of just amazing musicians and amazing instructors and educators who are coming together for this cause of creating something that we haven't seen before. And in this, like I said, technology is going to play a really big role, specifically because when was the last time you've ever seen something develop for the first time?
Right.
When have you seen a band program develop for the first time and have all the cameras and all the band world have their eyes on them from the ground up? They literally just posted a video of their field being dug out.
Yeah.
And new grass being laid. That type of stuff.
Amazing.
When have you ever seen that? That's like movie making.
Right. You don't see that, not in our generation. We didn't
not in the age of social media.
No.
So just with the added benefit of that, they posted on their, you know, the FMU marching band, whatever it is, they posted on their Instagram and their social platforms.
It's a Facebook page.
Right.
So you can watch all of the different stories and stuff like that. Like, they've been posting this week because we've had band camp, and it's been a phenomenal experience so far.
I agree. It says FMU going to be up there with FAMU and BCU. I don't know how soon, but it's going to be soon. And I
need Rona to go away so we can be as soon as possible. But yeah, I think one of the reasons that I was so excited once everything got announced for the marching band program is because when they said that Mr. Beckford was going to be doing it, I got to see what he did with Carroll City when he came back.
High school.
That's my alma mater. Carroll City High School. I got to see what he did with Carroll City when he came back. He had formerly been the director there, and there had been a series of directors in between him not being there. And when he got back to the band program, I think it was like 10 kids.
Yeah, it was like 5. That's what he said. He walked in the first day, so they had no band camp. Mm-hmm. His first day of back employment was the first day of school.
Yeah.
So listen to this story because it gets crazy. 5 students introduced themselves as the band.
Oh. We were marching over 100 by the end of that year.
By the end of that year, and they went to and marched at the Florida Classic.
And we got to see it and like help where we could and experience like him actually. Like, these kids had never picked up a horn before. Like,
they didn't know how to put it together.
Yeah, our feeder patterns down here have been broken down.
A super beginner.
Yes. Like, our feeder patterns down here have been broken down so much. And like I said, that's one of those things that you want to push my button, that's what we'll talk about. But so to see them come in 9th grade and before the middle of the season, they're playing full arrangements and they're knowing at least a portion of their scales and fundamentals and show practices and things like that. Like that takes a lot of skill.
And marching. And
that's
field formation.
And they're doing all of it.
Oh.
Yeah.
So for him to be able to do that with children who have the attention spans of a pissant sometimes, like, you gotta be real. Like, kids, man. And you gave them cell phones. Like, what happened when we got cell phones as adults? Okay, imagine what happened to somebody who doesn't pay attention. Like,
Yeah.
but I'm sorry.
But that's real life. But this is why they make it such a big deal not to have cell phones at practice or have cell phones at band camp, because there's a lot of things you have to remember. If you
do,
like, you got to remember this. Just
You got to
literally one wrong step and there go your teeth because you got ran into a trombone, like that type of stuff. One wrong pinwheel and you got hit by a flagpole. Like it's dangerous.
it's dangerous because and we got to go on. We got to keep doing it.
Right. And we have to keep doing it. What's a knot on our head?
So your it's just gonna have to hurt because you gotta stand.
We'll worry about it after we get off the field.
Right. Pick your teeth up off the field and
just wait till the end of the set. But it's just one of those things. That's what was so encouraging to me about it, and what made me so excited about what the program's going to be. So, yeah, I'm ecstatic. The alumni are ecstatic, at least the ones I know, because a lot of us are band geeks. Even if they weren't in the band at Florida Memorial, a lot of people had band backgrounds, or they were at least athletic, so they're used to having the band there doing certain things. So it's one of those culture things. Where's the band?
right.
So a lot of people are excited. A lot of people are excited about the football team. I can't wait, because as far as it goes, if I had the chance, if I was a football player and I had the chance to stay in Miami and go to school and play football, I would be doing it. So I can't wait to see how many recruits in the upcoming seasons are going to be coming from these schools that have been producing NFL stars for decades.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Somebody said they got hit by a flagpole their 9th grade year of high school.
No, it was back in high school, someone left their trombone out. I got spit all over me. It was
Ooh, no. I remember 8th grade year, the majorette, like it was a whole line of majorettes, and I was on the sideline getting ready to go up on the field. The girl said, baby, you might want to move back a couple steps. But they blew that whistle. She went, dee. That would have been my face, okay? She warned me.
Right. And our dancers was good for it. What? Oh,
right.
Hold up.
Did a little prelude.
Like, don't be late coming to attention.
Right.
Don't be late coming to attention. You running through the band room door and you running through a whole squad of auxiliary. Let them hit the whistle. They're going into formation. You are going to get caught in it. You better hope you dodge.
Right. You better catch that whistle. We're gonna catch some hands. Right. Oh, like I said, stories for days.
I'm telling you.
We've been doing this a long time.
The next one. So I noticed that y'all are like part of the band staff at Florida Memorial. So I want to wish you congratulations on that for both of you.
Thank you.
And we saw that band camp was this week. So we have to ask, so how did band camp go?
It went super well. Very social distance.
We're in my house, so mine's in order.
Right. Everyone played our part. Like, the kids were super safe. They had the face shields and the mask at all times. Anytime that they played, they were 6 feet apart. Anytime that, like, we were just cleaning back and forth, it was just, it was a whole deal.
Yeah. It was a whole deal. It was great. It was great. It was great. But we made a very conscious effort to make sure that the kids were safe at all times.
Right. For sure.
Open air practices as much as we could. We had like limited sectional practices if we're doing it. Everybody had to be spaced out. Right. If you're not playing a horn, you definitely got your mask on. Like,
right. Anytime we're interacting with the kids, there were loads of hand sanitizer involved.
Yes.
With everything. Pins.
Like Clorox wipes on my desk.
Wipes and, yeah. So it was just all in the effort to make sure that everyone is safe everyone is, following the new CDC guidelines and protocol for this whole, as much as possible for this new season that we're in. Because we understand that by now people should know that this is our new normal, and we have to treat it as such, and we have to make the most of it. It's not going to go away on its own. We have to be proactive in that fight to make sure that the students are safe, and that also the staff and everyone is safe. People, temperature checks everywhere. The radar gun
checks when
was
you came
about,
in,
honey.
Temperature checks when you came in the gate, temperature checks when we're doing attendance, like
temperature checks in the afternoon, when they come after lunch.
Like,
it was a whole deal. So yeah, just making sure everyone's safe in this new age. And we were one of the forerunners, primarily because our camp was one of the only ones of the summer season. Normally there are loads of different camps going on. I know FAMU had their virtual camp happen last week. And so, we were being very, I want to say, proactive. It could have, obviously could have gone one of two ways, right? But we're so excited that we were able to have that, and everyone be safe, and if they were, if they had an issue or anything like that, be taken care of. But it doesn't have no mishaps. There we go. No mishaps. Because
because we was just talking about that. The last thing we need is for anyone to actually catch the coronavirus and it leads back to the camp or something, and then because we was talking about how if a PWI, for instance, if a PWI does a football game and someone catch the coronavirus, they'll announce it, but if an HBCU does the same thing, all of a sudden,
siren,
and they're dragged.
These crazy Black Lives Matter people are around here just spreading this Rona is rampant. They would have just did the whole nine. I promise.
Yeah. Honest, that's why I'm glad we're able to do things like this and come on here and talk about it and actually be proactive about it, and how we were able to the best of our abilities, make sure everybody was safe. And all you can do is do everything to the best of your ability. And as far as it goes, we took every precaution that they're suggesting we take when we open up these schools. So as far as it goes, we can only do what we can do. And we didn't want the kids to miss out on those critical opportunities that they need in the season, and any upcoming performances and in their upcoming high school careers and things like that. It's knowledge that they can definitely use, even if they're just using it at home from virtual school with their instructor. But they have some actual tacit techniques that they can take and use and grow with at this point in time. And there are certain things that you can't get through a screen.
Right, absolutely.
And especially when it comes to instruments, because it's your armature, your aperture, your fingerings, how you hold it, how's your airflow going? We need you to do this. I can't see how your chest is expanding and contracting properly from a video screen, because I can only see one angle of you. And it's kind of weird to tell somebody to turn to the side just so I can see you play, so I can see whether you're expanding from your diaphragm or from your stomach and all that. It's that technical stuff that you kind of have to be in some sort of proximity to actually do.
Knee lift, carriage position technique.
Make sure you're not going down on the ball of your foot or your toe instead of the ball of your foot, and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Because once you're in front of the band director and you were trying to rehearse and he's upset, they're all in trouble. Come on. It's difficult. It is a very difficult time, but we have to adjust. Definitely.
Absolutely. And we have to be proactive about it. It's not going to go away on its own. Like I said, we could run away from it as far as we can, or we can do our best to, like I said, live in this new normal, because it is a new normal.
Yeah. The timelines for anything remotely safe outside of the precautions we're taking is at least 2-3 years away. So like we have to figure out something till then. You can't just stop everything, but you definitely have to be very careful while you're doing the things you're doing.
And at the same time, I will say this, because I don't want anyone to misconstrue what we're saying. Be safe. Wear your mask.
Yes.
Do all
Hand sanitizer. Wash your
hand sanitizer. Be careful, especially whom you socialize with, and know their social habits. That is a one bit. That's like the big thing. I actually wrote that on my timeline. Like, no, boo, you can't tell me that you went on to a party with a few of these people who you don't know with no mask. See you in 2 weeks. Like, no. Like, but at the same time, you're taking every precaution, but we do have to know that we're in a new normal and, you know, proceed with that thinking.
All right, so a little more. So let's hear about the up and coming season from the Roar. Like, what can we expect from the Roar from Florida Memorial University?
I think for that one, you're going to have to follow the Facebook page and the IG. I wish I could. But you got to follow us on there.
Follow us on FMU marching band on all social media sites. And yeah, definitely you'll see some things that you haven't seen before. You'll definitely hear some things that you haven't heard before. Honestly, it's a new program. It's a very new program. So it's kind of like anything is fair game. We want to have a unique sound. So expect to hear things, you know? So
you'll just make sure you watch, and at the very least, like she said, it's a new program. So it's going to be interesting just to see the creation of a program anyway. Like we said, we've never seen it in our generation before. So it's going to be a movie.
Absolutely.
Yes,
so stay tuned.
Well, we're excited to see what Florida Memorial brings. So you kind of touched on this before, but just like to emphasize it some more. So overall, do you believe there will be a marching band season in Florida or in general?
That's a good question. I'll take that.
Sure. Give me the hard stuff. I believe that it's a possibility, but only if individuals take responsibility and start practicing social distancing better, start practicing better habits of hand washing and hand sanitizing, and start wearing their masks and not socializing like we were just talking about, because it takes the community.
Know your social.
Yeah, it takes the community to do stuff like that so we can get at least a downturn on these numbers instead of record highs in Florida. But then again, you have to have proper leadership, but that's a different subject.
I mean,
so it's a lot that goes into it, and I'm hoping that there is a marching band season and a football season, but I also want to make sure that like the health of everybody is the main priority. So if it happens, I'm going to be ecstatic. This will be our first fall homecoming if we have a football season. So I'm ready. Yeah. I am ready. I went to homecoming in February. I was ready to go to homecoming again in October. October 10th. Just in case you were wondering, that will be our first homecoming game. If all goes well, and y'all are able to come, October 10th is going to be the first homecoming game for Florida Memorial University for the football season. And I'm ready. And I have, like, my friends are booking tickets now, especially because they cheap. It's a lot of people that are excited for it, and I mean, if it happens, I will absolutely love it and adore it. If it doesn't, I hope it's because it's out of the abundance of precaution for the athletes and the students.
Right.
Nice.
So
we feel the same way, pretty much. Just
yeah.
I can't live without a marching band.
I'm there.
Yeah. I hope so. Yeah, we got
somebody have to have it, 'cause, like, not only the kids, the scholarships, the bands, it's also like what are we gonna do as content creators?
I'm ready for Southern.
Yes,
Yeah.
I can't wait for that Southern game.
Oh, that's gonna be on fire, baby.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. It's gonna be my first time going further than Georgia, so I'm gonna be lit anyway.
And that's another thing. That's probably the same way how, probably Jackson and Prairie. Well, who else is in the swag? Prairie View and all of them.
Mm-hmm. Prairie View, Texas Southern.
That would be a reason for them to go to Florida as well, because they never been. So it's a great travel experience. Band is probably the best travel experience you can possibly have in your entire life. It just is. Mm-hmm.
But, so are there any other questions from anyone that's still on the live?
Oh, but a little bit about ourselves. My name is Jessica.
Yeah, I wanted to know.
Yep, my name is Jessica. I marched back in 2010. Well, my first marching experience started at Norfolk in 2010. Then I transferred over to South Carolina State with the greatest band in the land, the Marching 101. I see y'all in the comments and everything. I love y'all so much. But then I came home for, because money and some family problems. And then I ended up going to Howard, and then I marched for Howard. Shout outs to the Showtime marching band as well. And now I'm just taking a break of life, trying to get back into school. I'm not marching no more. That's during that. I'm not marching no more.
You know what? I said that. I marched for the I did like 2005, 2006, 2007, those on and off. And then I left school and I was like, I'm not marching again. And right back in 2009, 2010, I was back in the marching band doing it again. You'll see how you feel when you're ready.
That's what I keep telling her.
She says that too, and I'll be like, she's probably right.
Because you know what? That money gonna look good on that refund check. I'm just saying.
But I told her that. I was like, you probably march if they offer you a scholarship, though.
You ain't lying.
That's right. I put my baggies up if the price is right.
Right.
And so about me, so I'm Lishay Armstrong, of course, here in PG County, Maryland, the DMV area. I currently go to UDC, who actually does not have a marching band program at all. So I'm actually working on UDC getting a marching band program, and of course the chairman of music.
Gillespie, right?
Yeah, Mr. Gillespie wanted to start off as a pep band and then move up to a marching band. So currently working on that.
University of District
My girl is
Columbia.
doing it.
That's UDC, University of District Columbia.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, okay, so my LS works there. She's Trinice McNally. I don't know if you know Miss McNally. I know it's
I'm writing that down.
The Center for Diversity and Inclusion in there. She was hosting all of the different rallies that were happening in the recent times.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know you couldn't possibly know everybody on the campus.
No, you're fine.
But it just crossed my mind.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, she's an awesome clarinetist.
Yeah, also clarinetist, March BCU band.
Clarinet all day.
I'm a trumpet player here. I'm the only here. It's okay.
Awesome. Brass player, and she plays everything.
No, I'm trying to be just like
I've
you.
seen them play a couple things, but I play flute and piccolo, and I tried saxophone. I did trumpet about this much, and I did percussion, honestly. So between ninth grade band class and Flomo's pep band, which was a 2-piece and a biscuit most days, when I was in school, you had to swap off instruments. So I would be on quads, tenor, toms. I spun cymbals. It was a get in where you fit in to make the cadence work.
Right.
Listen, the struggle. What?
It's real.
Yeah.
Really
Right.
real.
That's what makes bands so fun, man. The good, the struggles, all of it. It just you can't replace that. You can't
Right.
replace that with anything else. Yeah, I mean, we're a cult. I'm sorry. It is what it is.
Right. But those nuances make it what it is. Make us like have the stories, be able to laugh about it now at the struggles and how we overcame. Like that's part of the culture. Right. Yeah. So I'm excited with you ladies. How did you guys start Certified Band Geeks?
Oh, this is her favorite story.
Ladies, I'm sorry.
Tell her, Shay.
So I've thought about like Certified Band Geek CBG for a while now. It was just on when to start it. So it all started like I had the idea, and back in 2017, I wanted to like give her a Christmas gift. So I decided to put Certified Band Geeks on a shirt and give it to her as a Christmas gift. So she puts it. So she, of course, is ecstatic about the shirt, and she puts it on Facebook. And so people are asking initially, like, "Oh, where can we get a shirt?"
Right. What's that? What's Certified Band Geeks? The whole 9 yards. And we're just like, okay, maybe.
Yeah. So that's when we just went ahead and started. And so, like, right now, we was just like reposting like different bands and showcasing different high schools, different section of different bands and such. But now we're trying to like switch it up. We're trying to switch it up. So we're trying to become more of a blog. So that's why like we haven't been posting like that much content lately. So hopefully soon we will have an actual blog and an actual website.
Oh, that's awesome. We can't wait. For sure.
Really can't.
Thank you. And we actually like, cause we've sent like shirts off to like different people that has interviewed us. So of course, like we want to like be able to send you shirts soon. Yes. So when you get a chance to send us like your size,
that's awesome. We will totally wear it. Like that's so amazing.
So yeah, we'll definitely do that. And so
podcast. Oh yeah. That's an interesting idea to do a podcast. Yeah, we'll definitely set that up.
Thank you. We'll collab.
Sure.
So we're almost, of course, at the end of the interview. So I just wanted to ask, are there any like final words before we end the interview officially?
I guess if there are any students watching, join the band. You might like it. Right? And at the very least, you'll learn.
Right.
Definitely. And everything is worth a try. Because this honestly would not have been what I envisioned for myself. And you'll be surprised the impact that you have as an individual if you just start talking. So use your voice. Make sure you register to vote because this is important. Please do that.
Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself. Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself. Thank you. I didn't know
that. Right. And make sure you make your voice heard. Make sure that you're participating in democracy or it doesn't work. Thank you all for having us on. I really appreciate it.
Of course. We really enjoyed the conversation. We really enjoyed the interview, and I hope that our Certified Band Geeks also enjoyed this interview and this series. And where can they find you on your social medias?
Awesome. So you can find us at Blowing Hot Air Podcast on Instagram, at Blowing Hot Air Podcast on Facebook, Twitter. Also, our podcast is funded through Anchor FM, and you can also find us on the Apple Podcast app. You can find us on Google Play. You can find us usually where podcasts are sold or but it's found, but it's free.
Yeah, it's free.
So, yeah.
Oh, nice. So we definitely want to end on a good
definitely
So we definitely want to end on a good note. So we just asked for you to say our new slogan, and we're going to ask you to send a video in later on saying like our regular Certified Band Geek slogan. But for right now, we just want you to just simply say, we are the Blowing Hot Air Podcast, and we've been put on the spot by Certified Band Geeks.
Sure. We're going to have a couple takes. Because remember, we were in awkwardness. So
yeah,
y'all fine. Together. It's just going to be a big awkward fest. So I hope y'all ready. Ready? Let's do it. Can I get a reread? Fine. I need to start one more time. Let me get that line one more time.
I can re-say it for y'all.
Sure.
So the slogan is, "We are the Blowing Hot Air Podcast, and we've been put on the spot by Certified Band Geeks."
Okay.
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 So when y'all are ready,
So 1, 2, 3, or 3, 2, 1.
Go for it. You count down.
1, 1, 2, 3. We are the Blowing Hot Air Podcast, and we have been put on this. I tried.
we were going so well.
Right.
We got half the phrase done. You know, might have to cut and slice.
Okay, wait. We are the Blowing Hot Air Podcast, and we have been put on the spot.
That's where we messed up.
Okay,
we have been put on the spot by Certified Band Geeks.
they honey, we with you, honey. We gave you forewarning.
I have a sticker on my computer that has this very interesting flamingo, and it says majestically awkward. So, like, I know who I am.
Okay.
Awkward Band Geek. Awkward Band.
Yeah.
Write it down.
Crickets at the ready.
Yo, I love y'all so much. I can't wait till we get together, yo. Like,
Right.
This is gonna be
This is
so much
awesome.
fun.
This is like a whole relief in our day, because you know, the camp was fun, but it was more fun for the students. You know,
It's 14-hour
get
days.
weird. It get weird when you have to adult.
It was fun for the students to a certain extent.
right.
Yeah, you know.
For sure. All right. So take two.
Take
Yeah.
two.
Let's try this again.
All right.
We are the Blowing Hot Air Podcast, and we have been put on the spot by Certified Band Geeks.
Thank you so much for joining
And
us
I know I was
today
the
and for accepting
blade.
our invitation.
Thank you. We love y'all so much. You know, Black sister love and everything.
Yeah, I love you too.
This is awesome.
Right. Can't wait to chop it up again.
Yes.
This is a regular conversation, okay?
Seriously, right.
Like, I'm gonna have to catch up with y'all. We got some stories to exchange.
Honey,
we have-
some
Mm.
off the record.
Yeah,
We'll
you know.
conversate.
Oh, we will converse and conversate and drink. Drinks, mimosas on me. Yay!
You heard that, right?
You my type of person.
That's like,
Yes.
you know, the care react on right there.
Carrie Act on Facebook. But it's been a pleasure, you guys. So definitely until next time, we can't wait to see what Blowing Hot Air Podcast has in store, and we definitely can't wait to see what Florida Memorial brings this upcoming season.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Y'all have a good night, okay?
Good
You
night.
too.
Good night.
And thank you for everyone that joined the live today, and we hope y'all have a good night as well.
And make sure you check this out on YouTube if you didn't get to watch it on the live.
Okay. We having technical difficulties. Sorry.
Okay, that's good. Oh shit!